My second book, The Original Names, Words and Everything in Between, Volume 2 is now available to purchase. Get your copy today by searching Word Origins Book on Amazon and clicking on the non-sponsored link, or by checking wherever books are available in your part of the world. It's hard to deny that air transport is one of humanity's most important creations, despite some of the more negative connotations the world of aviation has given us, such as the environmental impact of flying. Something as impressive as air travel, however, deserves to be littered with equally impressive sounding names, and that definitely is the case. The world of planes and things linked with flying is littered with all sorts of cool sounding names. Take the names of popular builds of passenger jets. Words like Boeing and Airbus just sound impressive, though some of the coolest sounding plane names are definitely the names of various planes used during the Second World War. As a Brit, when I think of plane names, none other than the legendary Spitfire comes to mind, a very important plane in the UK's war effort, and a really cool name too. It's easy to see why this plane was Airfix's first model produced and still their most popular. That name has undoubtedly played a large role in its popularity. There are many more cool and interesting plane names we could be discussing here today, but instead we're going to be focusing on one of the weirder names in the world of aviation. Not only is this name strange sounding, but it's also all over the place in aviation. It has been used as the name of planes themselves, to the names of airlines and airports too. Even air carriers have used this name. Wherever you look in the flying world, this name won't be too far behind. That being the name of Kitty Hawk. I'm sure you can understand why I think this name is so strange, at least strange in the way it sounds anyway. Kitty is a diminutive form of kitten, the adorable baby versions of cats, while hawk is a name used for a variety of birds of prey, all with sharp talons, great speed, and incredible hunting capabilities. It's safe to say that kittens and hawks are not two animals often closely linked with one another, though perhaps they would be best friends if we actually gave them the chance. What do I know? Though as strange as this name is, I guess the hawk part of the name makes sense in the world of planes. Planes fly, as do these birds. It's not too uncommon to see the names of birds used in flying, though kittens don't ever fly, at least of their own accord anyway. If you didn't think so when I first mentioned the name, I hope you understand why I find this name so strange now, or at least willing to carry on watching this video anyway. This name will be odd no matter where you found it, so finding it plastered over planes and airports makes it even more strange. I guess the first thing we need to ask ourselves is, where did this name even come from in the first place? Well, that initial Kitty Hawk wasn't a plane at all, but rather a town. The small town of Kitty Hawk can be found in Dare County in the state of North Carolina in the United States of America. Kitty Hawk is no big city, however. From Wikipedia's stats, I'm informed that this town is just 8.28 square miles in area and has a population of around 3,500 people. Do not let this town's meager size put you off, however, as from what I can tell by images alone, Kitty Hawk looks like a wonderful slice of seaside Americana, full of wonderful beach walks and nature to take in. If you happen to be watching from Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, please do say hi down in the comments. How did this town end up with this rather unique name though? Well, this name wasn't initially Kitty Hawk, and the name doesn't have roots with European settlers either. This is a name of Native American origin. What tribe of natives specifically, however, we don't seem to be exactly sure. It most likely comes from an Algonquin language / tribe of some sort, which makes sense as there are still Algonquin tribes in this part of North Carolina. While researching native tribes of the Outer Banks of North Carolina, where Kitty Hawk is, a tribe called the Hattalas came up. This small tribe speak an Algonquin language and reside in the same area as Kitty Hawk, so it could have come from them, though that is just my own hypothesis. Whatever the case, when this place was first named by the natives, it was called Shikawak or something of that kind. I couldn't find the exact pronunciation, I'm afraid. This is believed to mean place to hunt geese, so even the name's original meaning has avian roots. Once European settlers arrived in the land, however, the name started to change. Maps from the 1700s depict this place with names such as Chickahawk or Chickahawk. If I were to guess, I imagine European settlers struggled saying that native name, as I did, so adapted and corrupted it into words easier for them to say. They were clearly inspired by the meaning of this name and the sounds already in it, as they corrupted the name to feature not one, but two birds, chickens and hawks. Interestingly enough, chicken hawk is a term that has since entered the political lexicon as a name for someone who actively promotes war but avoids military service themselves. This doesn't come from this town's beta name, however. Clearly this town would not stay as Chickahook though, as it carried on evolving. Somehow English speakers eventually changed the first part of this name altogether, replacing the baby chicken found at the start with a baby cat, creating the modern name of Kitty Hawk. This name, its meaning, and its past variations clearly have deep links to birds. However, it wasn't because of this link with flying animals as to why we've named our flying machines after them. It instead relates to some pretty important history that relates to aviation in this corner of the world. It was in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina that the Wright brothers made a huge leap forward in the world of aviation and flew a plane for the first time. Well, actually it was in a field about 4 miles south of the town Kitty Hawk. Still, the town has certainly made this huge piece of history the crown jewel of their community. The Wright brothers are the kind of historical figures that a lot of people know of but don't know too much about, at least here in the UK anyway. What it's like stateside, I'm not too sure. I only just found out that their first names are Wilbur and Orville, in example, while researching this video. Great first names, by the way. While we all know that they invented the ancestor to the modern airplane, there's a lot more to their story than that, such as the fact it was primarily just the two of them that worked on their plane, and they actually had very little scientific training in the field. Yet it was these two that made the likes of the Spitfire and Boeing 747 possible, and their dream of flight came to fruition in the town of Kitty Hawk. Orville and Wilbur were actually born in Ohio and Indiana respectively, so they didn't end up in Kitty Hawk simply because it was their hometown. It was a deliberate choice to test their contraptions here. And no, Kitty Hawk wasn't chosen because of the town's bird-based name either. There was one main reason as to why they chose Kitty Hawk as their testing ground, and that was because of the constant strong winds that blew there. Beaches have an image of being sunny slices of paradise, but as someone who grew up near the beach, I can inform you that they're incredibly windy about 99% of the time. Kitty Hawk is now even home to an offshore wind farm. It's great to see that the winds that first lifted man into the sky is still being put to good use. Before testing powered flights, the Wright brothers experimented with gliders, hence why wind was so instrumental for them. In 1902, they first came to Kitty Hawk with a glider. Thanks to the beach's winds, they were able to make 700 successful flights with just their glider. It was time to move on to powered flights. It was in the following year, on the 17th of December 1903 to be exact, where the first powered airplane took off. It was the elder brother of Orville at the helm of this historic flight. He was able to fly their plane, dubbed the Wright Flyer, 20 feet above the air for 12 seconds and covered 120 feet. There were 3 more flights done that day, with Wilbur earning the record of longest flight, with a time of 59 seconds and 852 feet being covered. These are of course minuscule flights when compared to today's long hauls, but with this, the concept of aviation and planes had quite literally taken off and there was no going back. And this important moment in history happened by the town of Kitty Hawk. Modern aviation would not exist today were it not for the Wright brothers and their experiments by the town of Kitty Hawk. It makes all the sense in the world that the name of this place where humans first took powered flight would become an ever-present fixture in the aviation world. And oh boy has it. Wikipedia has a whole page highlighting the various things that have been called Kitty Hawk, and a large majority of them relate to planes and flying and aviation in general. In example, part of the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio is named Kitty Hawk. On top of this, we had Kitty Hawk Airways and Kitty Hawk Air Cargo, which are former American airline and air cargo companies respectively. Even a series of aircraft carrier ships, which belong to the US Navy, are dubbed Kitty Hawks. However, perhaps the most noticeable Kitty Hawk in the world of aviation, minus the OG town of Kitty Hawk, is the Second World War plane of the same name, at least in the UK anyway. The Curtiss P-40 Warhawk is a fighter plane of US creation, perhaps most known for the shark mouth design added to the front of it, once again making it a popular airfix option. While a US creation, these planes were used all across the world, with the UK military ordering 3,000 of them to be used by the Royal Air Force. It was renamed however by the RAF, going from the Curtiss P-40 Warhawk to the Kitty Hawk, a reference of course to the Wright brothers and the town they flew in. Kitty Hawks have become a mainstay of the UK's collective idea of the Second World War along with the Spitfire. In fact, Kitty Hawks were so important to the UK's war effort that VIP flights carrying members of the British royal family use the airline code of Kitty Hawk to this day. It seems they get more than just the 3 letters most other airline codes get. Not all Kitty Hawks are aviation based, it would seem, however. The Wright brothers and their time in the town was so monumental to world history that even things outside of the world of flying have been named after the town. Take the HP Kitty Hawk microdrive, or even IBM's supercomputer dubbed Kitty Hawk, which in theory is able to host the entire internet. However, there are some stranger ones too, such as a band called Kitty Hawk. The creator of a webcomic called Sparkling Generations of Valkyrie Yuki is called Kitty Hawk, and there's even an interior designer called Kitty Hawks. Not a stage name, she was literally given the name Kitty Stephen Hawks by her parents. There's an awful lot of Kitty Hawks out there, and while some of them don't relate to flying, it's clear to see that this is a name that is pretty darn popular in aviation, and who can blame it? Despite being such an odd name, the use of the word hawk in it has clearly captivated many. Though of course the main draw for pilots and flying fans to this name is the history it has with the early days of aviation, as it was in the initial Kitty Hawk where human imagination and creativity allowed 2 brothers to reach a literal height no person had ever done before. They just happened to choose somewhere to test their planes that had a rather weird, though quite fitting, name. Now, if you don't mind me, I'm going to go find an actual kitten and hawk and force them into being best friends, and possibly a crime-fighting duo depending on how well things go. I can't imagine it going wrong in any way possible. Kitty Hawk was suggested by John Bastian, and thanks to their suggestion, they will now be honoured as Name Explain's patron saint of Kitty Hawk. Do you have a good idea for somewhere that's name could be covered in a Name Explain video? If so, then please consider donating on Patreon. Just $1 a month helps keep the channel running and earns you a weekly chance to suggest somewhere to be turned into a video, and you too could be a Name Explain Patreon saint. Thank you to all my patrons who support Name Explain on a monthly basis. Patreon is vital to Name Explain, and donating just $2 a month allows you to enjoy ad-free videos and bonus Patreon exclusive content. It also allows you to help choose what names get explained in upcoming videos, and gets your name here with all these awesome people. Thank you so much for all the support you guys give Name Explain. Thank you so much for reaching the end of the video. Check out another video and subscribe to stay in the loop on all things Name Explain. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram where I'm Name Explain YT, and also join the Facebook group Friends of Name Explain, both of which will be linked down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and once again, thank you all so much.